we begin with President Trump going to Arizona to try to win back young voters ahead of the midterms. What he found instead was an older crowd and visibly empty seats. One longtime supporter even told the Washington Post she had no plans to attend the Turning Point USA event until she saw there was hardly a line to get in. And then there was the message. Because at an event meant to energize young voters, Trump leaned into the very issues that are driving them away. He touted success in his wildly unpopular war with Iran, falsely claimed victory over inflation, and, for reasons not entirely clear, announced a new initiative regarding UFOs.
We're ending wars all over the place. By the way, with the exception of our little excursion, we inherited the highest prices in the history of our country. We inherited that, and then we worked on it, and what a job we've done, and we took inflation way down, and I think I'm doing the best job of anybody, really, I do. I recently directed the Secretary of War to begin releasing government files relating to UFOs and unexplained aerial phenomena. And I figured this was a good crowd because I know you people, you're really into that. I don't know if I am. I thought I'd save it for this crowd because you're a little bit out there.
Yes, if you missed it, Trump bragged we are, quote, ending wars all over the place with just one little exception. The president also took aim at NATO, calling it, quote, absolutely useless, and returned to familiar grievances on immigration and trans athletes. Those remarks come as roughly 70% of adults under the age of 30 now disapprove of Trump's leadership. More than 60% said they disapproved of his handling of the economy and Iran. And while his Arizona speech was all over the place, the midterms are clearly at the top of Trump's mind.
And I was going to say that when a president wins, Republican or Democrat, for some reason they lose the midterms often, most of the time. It doesn't make sense. For some reason, a president, Republican, Democrat, the party does poorly in the midterms. It doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Still trying.
Still trying. Try as you might. Joining us, Dana Milbank, columnist for Notice, which is soon to be known as The Star, and David Drucker, senior writer at The Dispatch and MS Now contributor. Dana, great to see you again. Welcome back to the table. I mean, we were chuckling over the UFO
Release the UFO files. I mean, I'm with him on that.
Clearly, as we showed in that clip, you know, he's talking about the midterms. I don't know why. I don't understand. The president in power, their party loses the midterms. I don't get it. Are we right to say that? Oh, he gets it. He understands what could possibly happen in November.
I always hesitate to say what the president gets and doesn't get, but I think if I had had the kind of week that this president had had with Iran, with inflation with the Pope, I too would be talking about UFOs. It didn't begin with that. I mean, J.D. Vance was saying they're all demons, in fact. So that the aliens are in fact demons. So this predates. So this has been building. I mean, we're going to blow the lid off of this one. I mean, clearly, a distraction.
100%.
100%. A distraction is urgently needed. But I mean, we didn't even play the clip of they've got all this nuclear dust in Iran. They were going to pick it up and bring it back to the United States. Oh, that doesn't sound so good.
The uranium. One of the things that's really interesting is that I feel like reporting is mostly like understanding human psychology. Maybe I'm the only one. I feel like when I talk to young reporters, I'm like, take psychology courses, because I feel like if you start to understand how human beings operate, it creates a new empathy and it makes it easier to understand why someone might do something that you would find weird. So like Trump saying, another word. So Trump saying, like, it doesn't make sense to me. I think part of it is because it doesn't make sense to him that anyone would not like what he's doing, right? Because that's what it's about, right? The midterms switch over because the American people, David Drucker, are unhappy with the president and the folks in power, mostly because the wheels of government take so long and people want things that change in their lives quickly. And what's so fascinating to me is that Trump has not given Republicans much to run on, right? Here's something from Politico this week from Eric Erickson. I was surprised at the number of strong Trump-supporting evangelicals who are willing to criticize him. The problem, ultimately, is as he becomes a lame duck more and more people start to move beyond him. If he wants to minimize people looking to 2028 past him, he can't do stuff like this. It minimizes the ability to keep the focus on him and his policies as people finally get tired of it. That's bad for the midterms and bad for his ability to advance his agenda. Every day, it feels like Donald Trump is adding weights to the necks of Republicans for the midterms and for quickening the speed at which people look past him for 2028.
Yeah, so we've been doing this now for 10 years. Can you believe what the guy said?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also what we've been doing for 10 years, I mean, this is like incoming because we're all in this business, right? Friends, family, voters even. Wait, why the hell did he say that? And so the answer is he is who he is.
Yeah.
And what I will, point out is that the two times that he has been the challenger candidate to an incumbent administration in a roundabout way, Hillary Clinton being the incumbent to Barack Obama, Kamala Harris being the incumbent to Joe Biden, this shtick has played very well. Right? It has motivated his base. He has gotten people to look past all the squirrely stuff about UFOs and other things and just focus on the issues that matter to them. Where he has been the incumbent, 2018, 2020, and now that we're much deeper into the 2026 cycle, it does not work. Yeah. And I think that's a great way to understand what is going on with him. Nothing new, but different situation.
This is someone at the end of the day who understands the attention economy better than anyone else. And Dana, to your point, talking about UFOs distracts from everything else that happened this week. But let's talk a little bit more about what happened this week. Let's watch this mashup of J.D. Vance getting heckled at a Talking Point USA event.
I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, random dude who's shouting. Can I finish my point and then I'll respond to what you just shouted? Is that okay? Again, hey, random dude screaming. I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But the president. Excuse me, sir. Right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years.
Dana, do you think that the president cares at all about the future of the MAGA movement and potentially jeopardizing and hurting the political futures of people like his Vice President, Secretary of State Marco Rubio?
Well, those are two different questions. I think he might care about the movement. I think it's pretty clear he doesn't care very much about his vice president because, look, he sends him off to campaign for Viktor Orban. Orban goes down in flames. He basically makes him the face of the Iran war. So he's in charge of negotiating it. If the negotiations go well, I'll take credit. You saw that one. If it doesn't go well, it's J.D. Vance. That's not a joke.
Honesty.
That's not a joke. That's how he does things. And, I don't know why, as we know, everything Donald Trump touches dies. But you always have these people say, well, no, that's going to be different with me. And that J.D. Vance thought that was going to be different, and it's turning out to be the exact same thing. And now he's having theological arguments with the Pope just after issuing a book about how he became a good Catholic.
Yeah, 9 years ago. 7 years ago.
Recently.
Yeah. Pope's been a priest for 34 years. Got a lecture.
And he's the Pope.
He's the Pope.
Direct line to God.
He's infallible.
The Vicar of Christ.
That's the whole point.
David. NBC has reported that Republicans are panicked over Iran in private conversations. Why are these always private conversations? Come on out, people. The Iran war is affecting our prices. This is something that needs to be addressed, said one House Republican facing a competitive race who, like others in this story, spoke candidly about the party's prospects on the condition of anonymity. In group and when we're talking about eliminating an entire civilization, that's a lot of time we're spending putting out fires. So, one, why are they so afraid to just come on out, go on the record en masse, And at what point are they going to show some courage and put some distance between themselves and the president?
Yeah,
to save their own hides.
Yeah, excuse me, another 10-year-old question. We keep revisiting, but look, we're knee deep in primary season, right? And Donald Trump's relationship with Republican voters is still very strong. I was in Indiana last week. I was reporting out a story on his intervention in those state Senate primaries because those Republican state senators killed a redistricting effort in the Indiana legislature. And in talking to voters, even the ones that are supportive of the incumbents, there's not a lot of animosity toward Donald Trump. And there are a lot of voters that may turn on these state senators and vote for the challengers because of the Trump endorsement. And so when you're asking the question, why won't they do something to save their own hide? Because they're looking ahead to their primary. We have primaries that have already started, but a lot are coming up in May, in June, and over the summer. And they're like, well, what good is a general election concern do me if I'm no longer renominated to be in that general election? And so
I don't know, being able to sleep at night because you stood up for your morals and your scruples of yourself. No, I'm
but there's that and there's their job.
Yeah.
They'd rather not sleep as long as they get to keep coming to work.
So am I hearing that once they get through their primaries, they'll suddenly
some of them will
reunite with their spines?
Well,
I mean, that's the evergreen quandary.
I think that what you will see is some of them. Look, politicians are like a lot of Americans. They deal with one problem at a time and what's in front of them. And what's in front of them right now is a primary.